This is a sad time to be a fan of Six Flags Darien Lake because we have some unfortunate rumors coming our way via Screamscape. Now, as with everything, it's worth specifying that this is just a rumor. Until we hear an official announcement from the park or see something going on, we do not know for a fact that this is confirmed. It is also possible that this is something that is currently being planned, and plans, as you know, can change. So whether this will actually happen still remains to be seen, but the current rumor is that Ride of Steel, yes, the big Superman signature attraction for Six Flags Darien Lake, may be on the chopping block for the end of this year. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this ride or this park, Ride of Steel opened in 1999, so it's just over 20 years old, not very old for a roller coaster at all. It was built by Intamin and also happens to be a mirror image of the one at Six Flags America, except this one came first. It's kind of famous for the wrong reasons. There's some sections of straight track on this roller coaster as it passes over water that everyone makes fun of, because they easily could have fit in some moments of airtime there, but instead, straight track. But I think it's a good roller coaster, and it's a true hyper. It stands 208 feet in the air, max speed 73 miles per hour, and over 5,000 feet of track. So it's a long ride. So why could this ride be leaving? The main point that is brought up over on Screamscape is because this ride has been operating with one train and is becoming more and more difficult to maintain. Now, this is not something that is uncommon in the amusement industry. Over at King's Dominion, Volcano the Blast Coaster was another Intamin that closed because of maintenance. Now that one I'm going to guess was a little bit more complicated than this ride, but I'm going to guess that the maintenance team probably isn't also as strong as King's Dominion with the backing of Cedar Fair. Darien Lake only recently started being operated by Six Flags, but they do not own the park. They have the contract to run the park, but as Lance at Screamscape points out, when it comes to the budget, they do not make the decisions. And that's also why we might not be seeing a ton of investment into this park, because why would Six Flags spend money on a new ride when it's going to a park that they don't even own? Now, of course, they still want to make money here, but if the owners of this park feel that this ride is not enough of a draw to get people to come here and it ends up costing them more than it's making them, at the end of the day, it would be a business decision. It wouldn't make sense to keep this ride around. Now, unfortunately, this happens to be the star attraction at Six Flags Darien Lake. So removing it, in my opinion, would be a huge loss, especially when they don't exactly have a ton of other great rides here. There's a Boomerang, there's a Vekoma SLC, which apparently is going to be down for the entire year while they add new trains to it that got delayed. New Trains is great. It wouldn't run like the one at Maury's Piers, which is like a completely different ride, even though it's the same layout that feels different. This would probably be more comparable to Riddler at Six Flags New England. So it would be a better ride experience, but don't expect it to be glass smooth or anything. Their most recent roller coaster was added in 2018, and that was from Gerstlauer. That's a little Eurofighter, very fun attraction. They also have Viper, which is a classic aero, and then Predator, which is a classic Woon roller coaster, going to get some retrack work in the near future, which is great news. Probably the only good news to come out of this video, especially considering how rough that attraction is. I only got on it once, but I wasn't a big fan. So hopefully they'll make some improvements there, but it does make you wonder why they'd be more inclined to spend money retracking and improving Predator and not Ride of Steel, when Predator is not a super popular ride at Six Flags Darien Lake, and Ride of Steel is. I understand if maintenance costs are high, but this is the first ride you see when you pull up to this park. No other ride comes even close to being the star attraction like Ride of Steel is. It'd be the same equivalent if Six Flags America removed their Ride of Steel. It would just feel off. Especially when, as much as we make fun of the roller coaster for kind of having a funky layout, it does have some great moments. It's got fun first drop, some really cool airtime pops there, especially towards the end, and it maintains some good speed. And personally, I think it would be very sad to lose this ride. And this park has had a rough history, but it's in my opinion that if this ride were to leave, it would be the biggest loss out of everything that has happened in this park's past. And that includes how they've gone through multiple ownership changes, and during several of those changes, nothing new was added. Heck, I mean, when Herschend ran the place from 2011 to 2014, they didn't seem to really care about it at all. They didn't treat it like Dollywood or Silver Dollar City, that's for sure. At least since Six Flags has taken over, they've added Sky Screamer and updated the water park. It's not much, but it's at least something. Now, I imagine since COVID hit, the addition of any new rides is probably not something that's in the cards. If they're looking at removing a ride like this, I doubt they're immediately going to put in something better in its place. In my opinion, it would almost be better to just close Ride of Steel and leave it closed for a couple years if you need. Do whatever you can to save up the money, maybe invest in new trains if you can. Let it sit SBNO for a couple of years and then reopen it. I think that would be better than just closing the whole thing altogether. I understand during times like this, finances can be hard. The park might not be in the best situation that they wish they would be, but you also have to remember that it costs money to remove an attraction. So if they see this the best way of cutting costs, then letting it sit for a couple of years would be much better than removing it. But personally, if you ask me, if it really comes down to finances, I think cutting pretty much any of the other attractions would be better, but I imagine it's not something that simple. The ride could have mechanical issues, it could be damaged, we just don't know. This is all just speculation on my part. I know at the end of the day that was kind of the nail in the coffin for Volcano at King's Dominion. That was taken out because it would have cost probably just as much to build a new roller coaster it would have been to fix that one. So maybe it's possible Ride of Steel got messed up and they're in a similar situation. Either way, I think it'd be a shame to lose this ride. But again, this is just the latest rumor that is going around. Just to be safe though, if you had any plans to visit this park, I would recommend doing it this year. In case Ride of Steel does end up biting the dust, get on it while you can, and we'll just have to wait and see what happens. But I want to hear from you guys. What do you think of this latest rumor? Post any thoughts you have down in the comments below. And of course, stay tuned here at Coaster Studios for more rumors and news updates, and we'll see you next time.